views of the management of the messages you preached about this morning, I was feeling so guilty because my mother, she never had time for me, well, for her children, because she was working like Sunday to Sunday, and I did not get the love. Now, excuse me because I'm crying, because I'm driving and I'm crying because I never get the love from my mother. And I have 2 children and I never show them love. And now I just be telling my son, come and give your mother a hug and a kiss, and he will openly give it to me. But I have a daughter. She have my ways. I'm stubborn. And sometimes come and say, Sarah, come and give me a hug and a kiss, and she would not do it. And I just say it's because I did not get love from my mother. So I'm getting the feedback now, and I listen to you every single morning because I'm living Shogunas and I'm working in tongues. I just be driving and listening to you, and all what you are saying is so true. I just want to thank you for that message this morning. I have 2 grandchildren, and now I am showing my grandchildren the love because I did not get love. I married for 23 years. My husband is a loving person, but I did not know how to show him love. No, we don't have this other quarrel. He don't hate, he don't fight, he don't curse. But I am the one that I'm hurting because getting this message this morning, I really hurting this morning because of the lack of love. And I also go to church and I'm getting the word of God, and I'm trying to, get a relationship with my daughter, especially not my son, because my daughter, she's married and gone. But with my daughter, I really want that love. So I just asking you just to pray for me. Just pray for me so I could, under her, show her more love, because she have a little business place and something she's come and say, Ma, she need to get this, and I will try my best to get it because I did not show her that love. So I just want to thank you this morning for that message, and you have a blessed day. Bye.
So that was a call that I had, and that call really touched me. It brought me to tears, and it brought me to tears because what she's crying about, the way she was crying, I've had those cries for the very same feeling, like not feeling that love growing up. And when I share these messages, I share them because I myself have experienced these things, and I have a very functioning understanding. And I want to point something out, like, early. A lot of times we go through things in life and we think that this was bad, this was terrible, this should have never happened to me, and you would be right. Things that happen can be very tragic. But God knew from the beginning of time that these things would have taken place. And if you think of it in that way, then you have to think, or ask the question, what's the reason? There's a reason. There's a point for all this. And all you have to do is seek God for that understanding. And if you understand that these things happen, that it's meant to bring you into a place that it teaches you, it grows you, and it enables you to be stronger for someone else or for a purpose that you have in life, then you won't view it as this is just evil, God's wicked to allow this to happen. You would see God as someone greater, something greater in your life. So I just want to encourage that sister, you know. Can't get this to play. No. But I want to encourage her. I was trying to play a song. It's got a bit of technical difficulties on my part. But I just want to encourage her that, you know, it was as painful as it was to hear it. Like I've experienced it, and I understand what it is. And now that I understand what it is, I understood through God what it was for. Yeah, what it was for, and why He allowed it to happen. There were things that, for me to be able to share that with someone, I had to go through it myself. I had to have a functioning understanding to share this with you guys. So what I want to do is, I was asked if I could finish the message that I started last week by parents, parents who have children. I didn't think that they would want to hear, parents would want to hear what they're not doing right. So it was quite interesting. Now, I want to make something absolutely clear. I have not at any point said to anyone, I've not said to anyone that they're not good parents. In fact, this is a message for all the good parents out there. The parents who care, the parents who go the extra mile, the parents who will sacrifice themselves. Before we get into that, I just want to share this song with you guys.
You make all things beautiful, beautiful for me. 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 So I am not moved by what I see. He's seen it all. He's gone before me. I am not moved by what I feel. He knows it all. He's gone before me.
Yeah. So I want to encourage you guys. As much as you may hear, and as much as it may hurt to hear it, as much as it may hurt to hear it, God's asked me to share this so that He can make things beautiful for you. See, what I've come to understand in life, about life, is if you don't know something, then you will always think there's nothing to be better, to be fixed, to be repaired, nothing to grow in. So knowing these things is going to help give you the type of relationship that you want. But knowing it alone is not going to do it. Knowing how to apply it, what to apply, what to do, what you're doing, what you're not doing, how you could do it better, gives you the ability to grow within yourself personally. Just like it gave me. The things that I discovered about myself and began to work on, grew me in the way that God needed me to grow to be able to be here with you on Wednesday morning sharing. And God didn't have me come on before he thought I was ready to. And I just want to give him thanks for that. Because the song said, God makes all things beautiful. It's not he's made all things beautiful when it comes to us. He made the world beautiful, but we are a constant, evolving work in glorious process through Jesus Christ. So I want to start with our baseline question from last week was, what is you're saying this, you're asking yourself this question, all parents, you're asking yourself this question. What is my relationship like with my parents? And question number 2, how would I respond to my parents if they entreated with me in the same way I do with my children? Those are the 2 baseline questions. And you're going to ask yourself these questions every time I point out something. Just think about the question. All right, so let's get into it. Last week, we would have looked at, why are your children alienating you? Why don't they want to have a relationship with you? And parents desire, good parents desire to have a good relationship with their children. Not just that their children talk to them, but that they, I was thinking about it, and you have children, right? You have more than one children in a house. And let's say you have 2. You have one child, and they are very distant. They talk to you, but they don't engage with you. And then you have another child, and they're all bubbly and loving. And it's so much easier to do things for or with that child. And you're more encouraged with that child. But then the other child, you love them. You love them the same. Like, your heart is there. Like, anything would to happen to them, you'd be there, ready to defend, maybe even give your life. But the way that you would go about maybe doing stuff, or the willingness to go out of your way to do stuff, that it's not the same as for the child who is just open and willing and giving. Now, reverse that. Think of you as a parent. The openness and willingness. And you are the only person. You may have 5 children, 4, 3, 10. They just have you as the parent. You're the parent. They have you. You're the connection. But with them, you have a number of them, more than one, if you have more than one. And they have to connect to you. So the willingness for that child or your children, more than one, to connect with you could be compromised, could be challenged. We also looked at there being hurt and resentment that would have built up over the years with your children in their lives and their hearts. And we looked at some of the things that could be causing that resentment. And now we're going to look at today, what are some of the steps? What are some of the things that are causing it? And what are some of the steps that you can take? Or what are the things you could look at, address, that can change your relationship? See, I don't want to be ever a person who talks about a problem only and never gives you the solutions. Like, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. That's pretty much what I'm talking against right now. As parents, we are very apt to tell our children what they're doing wrong. but we never take the time to compliment them. And that's one of the points. But let's get into it. Your children, and this is very important. This is the number one thing I want to discuss with parents. And as soon as I say it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Because some of you, your parents have died, and you can still feel that, hear that judgment in your head. Your children are still your sons and daughters. They can grow up, become adults, go off, have their own children. They're still your sons and daughters. Nothing is ever going to change that. But here's what they're not. They are not still children. I don't care if they live in your house. I don't care if you still view them as that. They're not children. They're adults. They are adults. And if you don't understand what I'm saying when I say that, I want you to know to think of your parents. Baseline question. When your parents, you as an adult, you're an adult parent yourself. Even if you don't have any children, you're an adult parent and you're an adult. As an adult parent, having your own children, how does it feel when your parents choose to dismiss, belittle you, whether in front of someone or person to person? How does that feel? What do you think of when your parent is at present doing that to you? What do you think? How do you feel about that? I've spoken to and heard people say, listen, they have no respect for me, as that I'm a grown adult. They talk to me like I'm a child. Well, if you have children yourself, you're probably doing that to them, which is causing them to alienate you from their lives. Think about that. Your children are always going to be your sons and daughters, but they're not children anymore. They're adults. And if they're adults, you are to treat with them as adults. We're going to get into how to go about that as we go. So many times parents just don't recognize your adulthood, your parenthood, nor your wisdom. Because this is what's taking place. As parents grow, and especially as they grow through their relationship with you, they've had experiences before they've had you. They've also had experiences with you. And when you're grown and gone, they've had experiences. And their experiences solidify in them that I know how to live this life. I know what to do. I know how to approach things. I'm pretty much good at everything. It's an unspoken feeling or way or thing. It's unspoken, but it's just the confidence that comes as you grow in age and as you have experience. So now you don't value as much someone who's younger, especially someone you've made. Like, what could they possibly tell me? Now, here's an irony. Parents will work hard, give their all, send their children to school, get them all the best teachers to train them and educate them in all the things that they themselves didn't learn. When you go to school or you go to educational classes, even the things of God, and you learn things. Now you're learning things they don't know, and you come and say, Mom, Dad, all the stuff that I've learned, this is what I've learned. And you start trying to point out to them, hey, this is what it is, Mom. This is what it is, Dad. They're like, nah, I don't want to hear that. You can't tell me anything about that. I'm your mother. I'm your father. I know. And it's ironical because what was the point in going through all you did to educate them in the things that you yourself don't know? Think about that. So that you can just reject everything that they say or dismiss what they say. Because you've come to a point in life, and it's just a fact of nature and growing in life. You've come to a point in life where you have grown in confidence. And you've survived. You've watched people come. You've watched people go. That builds a confidence in you as a parent. So now your offspring, you're not likely to think about how they are learning and growing, and that what they have can be shared with you, and it is valuable. They are adults. They are parents themselves. And they do have a wisdom. And some of what they have, not every single thing. This is not parents are dumb and children are now intelligent beyond what parents are. Parents are very much necessary. Old, young, it does not matter. They have a resounding wisdom that any child can benefit from. It is the fact that there's no acceptance that your children can also bring value to you. And the main idea that you had them was that you felt they would bring value to your life. And they did. But they're not just valuable for you to dictate or instruct. There's valuable to you in sharing what they know, and it would enhance and make your life blossom as you grow into your older years. So, moving on to number 5. With this understanding, you have to recognize that you cannot talk to your sons and daughters as though they are children, because they are not. Don't understand? Don't accept that? When your parents do it to you, being mothers and fathers yourselves, how do you feel? You want the respect? If you understand my words, what I'm saying, you have to give the respect to your children as adults. Don't expect that your parents will do it. It has to start from you to your children now. And if you're a grandparent hearing it, and you're understanding what I'm saying, it's not too late. You can start giving your children that respect. Now, in all that I'm saying, this doesn't mean that you don't ever get to talk to your children or correct them as being parents. It doesn't mean that. And now it's all about love and kumbaya and let's hold hands and everything's all. No. But I want you to think of this, right? You have a friend. You as a parent have a friend. And you're both the same age. You have children as well. When you talk to them, how do you talk to them? As adults, as your friend. Do you talk down to them as though they're children? Because they need to get it? You speak to them as adults. You entreat with them as adults. Why? Because you want to keep your friendship and bond in a way where the relationship continues to grow and expand and be good. Well, think about this. Now that your children are adults, they're not children anymore. So you don't talk to them in that way. You think of how you would speak to a friend. Because your children are now grown and they have a certain level of understanding. So the way which you deliver what you have to correct them in or what you have to say to them needs to be in a way that you yourself would be receptive of if your parents were talking to you as an adult. So don't think of how your parents would do it. Think of how you would like to receive it, or think of how you would do it with your friend. There's a respect that comes. Now, if it was a friend who was a child, you would talk to them as such. But this is an adult who is your child. An adult, not a child who's a child. This is your child who's an adult. You have to entreat with them differently. Don't understand that still? Let me share something, or let me just give you some insight into God. Think about when God made Adam and placed him in the garden. The Bible tells us that he made him, put him in the garden, and then he said to him, go ahead, you are now able to name all the plants and animals. Everything in the world, you name it. And whatever you name it, that will be its name. Okay, so what's your point, Darius? Well, my point is this. Whatever Adam named those animals and plants, God didn't change the name today. He didn't say, all right, I'm the parent. I made everything. I don't like you today. I'm upset with you. Everything that you made, I'm going to take it back. God's not a give, take back type of God. We tend to get things from God and destroy it. God gives it to us, and it's ours. But God, even in Adam's state when he was made, he was an adult child, and God still had a respect, a reverence for him as an adult child, because he didn't have the knowledge of good and evil. He didn't have wisdom. He just had what God was teaching him. And God still said to him as an adult child, go name everything. That's you. That's all you right there. I'll let you do that. Enjoy it. And I will take whatever you do, I will accept that as future coining. That's the name. It will stand. That's powerful. I make something and I let my children name it? No, never. Never happened. Your children are adults now. If God could give them the ability, this connects to what I'm going to say in the rest of the teaching here. All right, so let's see if we can move fast. We have 5:34. I want you to think of this. A lot of children out here do not want to have a relationship with you as a parent. It's not that they don't want to be around you. They don't want you in their life. What it is that as parents, some parents are so challenging to be around for a period of time that children have just said, no, I'm not going. I'm not coming. You can invite me, I'm not going to come. I'm always going to make an excuse. I'm always going to avoid. I'm not going to call. I'm not going to have conversation. They want that. If they saw a light shining from their parent, they would quickly take it. But they know over the years what the experience is like for them. And some children are anxious. They suffer with it. So it becomes challenging for them to just be around this, to be around what they perceive to be stressful to them. So they just said, you know what, I'm just not going to stick around that. I don't want to be around that. So you're alienating your children because of the way you entreat with them. Your unwillingness to also change that. Recognizing your children's, number 6, recognizing your children's own talents, skills, and abilities. It's very important. Very, very important. And parents don't do that many times. Parents are doing that a little bit more now. But they don't recognize, and I 100% firmly believe this is because we don't have relationships with God. Sometimes our relationships as human beings looks like our relationships with our kids or relationships with our parents. That's how it looks with God. Because that's who we are. So recognizing that your children have these talents, these skills, these abilities is important to them developing in their own personal lives and in their relationships with you. I can't tell you how many times I've heard children say, I want to thank my parents so much for, supporting what my desires and my I had a certain thing in me, and they saw it and they invested in that. And I know what it took. These children come back and they reward their parents for believing in them. They reward them. You have to be able to support that skill and that ability to first seek it out. You have people who are recognizing your children for what they can do, and you don't. They're getting awarded for that, and you wouldn't say to your child, even as adults, hey, you know what? You're very talented. You've done some amazing things. That's too hard for you to open up your mouth and say. You'd hear some parents say, well, I'm not them people out there in the world, They could award you for all them things. I don't care about that. You're my child. Seriously? What if God dealt with you like that? What if you have had great achievements yourself, but you belittle everything your children do? What if God did that where your achievements were concerned, and he said, you know what? No awards for you. No accolades. No spotlights, no anything. I will just allow no one to recognize what you do. And the thing that we don't realize, like, we are God's hands extended here on earth, whether you are Christian or non-Christian, because God says he uses who he will. Now, this is deeper. We have to get into the books of the prophets to understand that, where God sends these kings to Israel to destroy Israel because they wouldn't listen for years and years and years and years and years. He tells them, change your ways, change your ways. I'm going to send a king from the east to destroy you. And they would not listen. And when the king comes, what does the king say to Israel? God has sent me to destroy you. God has sent me this in. And the Israelites would have looked at him and probably said, we are God's children, not you. Well, what if God didn't use the people who give you the awards, who give you the pat on the back, the accolades here and there, to encourage you, to never say anything to you about what you're talented in? What if he did that? Would you be where you are today? So why would you not give your children every possible avenue, every possible pat on the back that you could? You are always telling them what they're not doing right. When they don't do it right, you get on that quick because you got to correct it. But you have to balance it out with love. And those are aspects of love that you're delivering. When your children has a talent, something that you see, support it. If your children likes digging up in something electronic, find a way to get things into their hands that they can take it apart and rebuild it or build things. You don't know how? Use your brain. There are people that repair things. They have repair shops, electronical shops. I mean, they're dying out now, but there are people that repair things still. Go down to one of those shops and say to the guy, you have anything old I could get for my son or my daughter? They like doing electronical stuff. And if I could get something, maybe people leave stuff there all the time that they never collect. Find out if you could get something. Bring it home. Give your child. Let them get into it. Look at your children. See what they're interested in. If they've grown up and they've become successful in a thing, don't be prideful. Just not say to them, what an amazing job you've done. You want them to come to your church? Do you? They've never seen the love of God from you. You've told them, dictated to them, you have to come to church. But then you say God's a loving God. Have they ever seen that? Do they know that about God because they've seen it through you? They may have seen it through other people. But what you have to understand is, think of a bird laying an egg. When that egg finally hatches because that mother and father sat on it and kept it warm. When that chick comes forth, all it knows is their mother and father. Doesn't know anything else. Doesn't trust anybody else. Same thing with your child. They've grown up, they know you. They would grow and go out and meet people, but their foundation, the desired love, comes, or they desire that from you, not anybody else. And if you don't show it to them, openly display it to them, they will not get it or understand it from anybody else, because you brought them into the world. So it's very important that if you want them to come through those doors of your churches to give their life to Christ, and they've been resistant, rebellious in that you open up the door of love to them so they see that there's a possible change that they can make in their lives because they see it was possible in you first. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? Stop creating toxicity that can lead your children to depression and even suicide. All children aren't built the same. So you can't deal with one rough like every one of them. Some of them need more. And I know now we have a lot of single parents and they like, I don't have time for that. Well, if you don't have time for that, you shouldn't have made the children. You have to invest the time. Being bent in your own way. If you are bent in your own way, your children will be bent too. You will never be able to unbend them until they start seeing you can unbend yourself. You remember, they do what they see from birth to adulthood. And in adulthood, they do what they see you do. They say what they hear you say. So if you don't change it, they're not going to. And then they'll apply that to the things you don't want them to apply that to. So your ability to begin to bend on things that you can. Not on the things you can't, the things you shouldn't bend on. But the things that you can. The love that you can give is important. Now, as I said before, I am not saying to you that you should never correct your children or anything like that, even as adults. I'm saying it's the way it's delivered. But if we, or you as parents, don't consider my words today, and what I'm about to say is taking place already, we're seeing a breeding of children who are now overstimulated by love. No correction at all. I didn't get love as a child. I'm going to give my child all the love I never got. I'm going to give my children all the things I never had. See, if you overdo strictness and correction and never balance that out, never show your children what love is, they will overdo love to their children if they feel like they didn't get it. It creates a negative impact for the future. Because as much as you need love, you need to be corrected. You need discipline. So if all you ever do is discipline, in the future, your children will grow up and feel not loved and want children so that they could give them all the love they never had. They're going to struggle with that, though. But then they'll give that love in ways that it's not necessary. It's not beneficial to the children growing. They're not going to understand the character of the child and say, well, certain things I should give and not give. And they're not going to understand that. They're going to just shower them with love. And these children are going to grow up thinking, oh, I'm supposed to be loved by everyone. And they're going to go out into a rude, rough, hard, coarse world and feel hate. And they're going to become angry. And they're going to become resentful. And they're going to be the children that grow up and shoot up schools and get into fights and murder kids in school because they don't feel loved there, because they get overstimulation of love in their home. Parents, I want you to understand how important this is. Everybody doesn't grow up and become like me or some of the other children out there who understand the depths of what took place and what it was for and how it grew them, or realize that they had to fight for that change. Not all of them grow up to be that. I want you to understand as well, your children are not here. This is the next point. Your children are not here for all the things that you didn't achieve when you were growing up. So you're now going to push and force them into things and ways that you believe will be their success. They're here for what God put them here for. Your role as a parent is to discover what that is and to help direct and steer their lives in that way that God wants them to go. Look at their skills, look at their talents as they grow, look at what they're into. Make sure it is a blessing to the hearts of men and women out there, and most importantly to God, because He has given them to you. That is your responsibility as a parent. Don't pressure them to achieve what you didn't. And for the people who say, I'm not changing anything, I don't care what you say. I'm going to read Matthew chapter 19, verse 13 to 15. One day some parents brought their children to Jesus so He could lay hands on them and pray with them. But the disciples scolded the parents for bothering Him. But Jesus said, let the children come to me. Don't stop them. For the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these little children. Why am I reading that? I'm reading it because I need you to understand this. Jesus Christ was saying, let them come. They're important. And human beings, even though He was one, but He was the Son of God. He made us with God and the Holy Spirit. He's saying they're important. And the human beings are saying, why are you bringing these children? That's how we think about children. That's how we think about them. They're not important. Don't bother Jesus of all people with these children. No. And Jesus is saying, no, don't cast them off. They're important. They're very important. They are future. Bring them. Let me bless them. And to those who, again, who don't want to hear, who determine they're not going to change, Proverbs 16, verse 18. Pride goes before a fall, before destruction, and haughtiness before a fall. So if you determine you don't want to change, and you still have growing children, if you had heeded my words now, you would see the rewards later. If you don't, you're going to see the rewards of that too. So I just wanted to share this with you guys so that you guys can understand what's necessary, what needs to change, what you need to work on. And I want you to understand this, most importantly, God,
by what I see,
God
He's in
has made
it
us in a
all.
way where it takes time for us to change things.
He's gone before me.
Especially when you spend a lot of time doing it a particular way. It takes time to change it into what you would like to see. And that change is hard and you're gonna cry. Just like this sister cried. It's like I have cried and you yourself have cried. It's taking time to change
gone before me.
But this song tells me
I am not moved.
Can't be moved by that. We have to stay the course.
By what I hear,
God will make
He's
it work
heard it all.
in time. Listen, I want to take 2 calls.
He's gone before
2,
me.
because I don't have that much time.
I am not
771
can never be
1791
moved. I am anxious for nothing.
5391
He's seen
and
it all.
342-0081 771
You know it all.
1791 466
I am not
5391
moved. Do not be moved
0081.
by what you feel.
Please call in quickly. We don't have that much time. Just anyone who has heard this message over the past 2 weeks. Yes, next week we're coming for the kids. God willing.
Gone before you. I am not moved
Okay, phones are not lighting up. I guess no
by
one is listening.
what I see.
Yesterday I spent some
You've
time
seen it all.
in worship. And the song that I'm
You've
playing
gone
here
before me.
was so powerful to me.
I can never be moved
That things in
by what I feel,
can challenge you.
regardless of how I feel.
When these
I
words
can
that I
never be
share
moved.
come hard to do, to change.
I am not moved
You just have to really rely
by what you said to me.
on God's encouragement.
Whose reports do you believe?
But you can only do that if you know who He is, what He is.
Hey, 'cause you make all things beautiful,
That God will make all
beautiful
things beautiful
for
in time.
me.
So if you're challenged by
You make
not having
all
that
things
relationship anymore with
beautiful,
your parents,
beautiful
God will
for me.
make it
You
all
make
beautiful in
all
time.
things beautiful,
But you have to be patient with it.
beautiful for
If it
me.
took you a while to get it bad, it will take a while to get it good. But you have to be willing to put in the work. Some of you are saying, well, I work hard to raise these children. I don't feel like going through all that again. Well, then be happy with what you have. If you have nothing as a relationship, if you have in passing, you get a talk to, and that's good for you, then don't complain. But if you want more, if they don't talk to you at all, if you want more than the hi, hello, or they do whatever because they feel like they have to, if you want them to do it because they love you, because you love them, then think about change. Think about putting in that hard work because it's worth it. Heavenly Father and God, I just give you thanks for today. I give you thanks, I give you glory, I give you honor. I thank you for your word, Lord. Thank you that I was able to share it. I thank you for using me. But I thank you for those who are out there listening. I thank you for the ones who are hearing and understanding. I thank you for the ones who want change, who want growth. I pray that you'd minister unto them and continue to bring the change that's necessary in their lives. This I ask, Lord Father, in Jesus' holy name. I just want to share my number with you guys. It is 773-0938. It's 773-0938. And I want to encourage you, if you would like to keep this ministry on the air, to contribute financially to keeping it going. I put this call out weekly, and weekly people do not contribute. And that will cause the end of this broadcast. And if you're happy with that, then that's the way it will be. But thank you for listening today. I pray that God would bless your day and just continue to encourage you. In Jesus' name.
Make all things beautiful, beautiful for me. You make all things beautiful.
Every Wednesday morning on the street, 919 FM, 5 a.m. to 5:55 a.m. To hear For the Kingdom with the voice Darius Lois. For those questions on life you want answered, if you question, is God real? Does he care about me? And how he functions in this world and in your life? Then tune in and get answers to those questions.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
He's gone before me. I am not moved by what I hear. What a doctor says is not of God, yeah. Can you say like a man? I am